To the world, they were just coins. But to her, they were hope, baked into a dream she could almost taste. The shop bell chimed quietly. The man behind the counter, shoulders hunched with age and silence, lifted his eyes just enough to watch her enter again, barefoot, cheeks flushed, holding something in her hand like it was a treasure map. She tiptoed to the glass display where the cakes sat like royalty, her eyes fixed on one in particular, a small round vanilla cake with strawberry swirls. For the sixth day in a row, she counted her coins on the counter with the precision of a banker and the hope of a child. She never said much. And neither did he. But he watched, and remembered. 9-year-old Daphne Hillard was different from other kids in the rundown Willow Pines trailer park. Not because she was shy, or because her jeans were always patched at the knees, but because she carried a kind of quiet dignity that didn't match her age. She lived in lot number 23 with her mother, Carla, a waitress at a roadside diner who worked double shifts and came home with tired feet and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. They didn't have much. Most nights, dinner was toast and canned peaches. Carla never complained. She just kissed Daphne's forehead and said, "Sweetheart, it's not about what we have, it's about what we give." That's why, when Daphne learned her mother's birthday was coming, and that Carla had volunteered to take a double shift that day to cover rent, she decided she had to do something. Something special. A cake. Just a cake. At the end of Millstone Street stood an old bakery, Wendell's Sweets, run by a man few people really knew. Thatcher Wendell, mid-70s, wore suspenders and a permanent frown. His shop had been in the family for decades, but most of the customers now went to the fancy dessert chain across town. Still, Thatcher opened every morning at 6 a.m. sharp. Not for money, but perhaps out of habit. Or maybe because he had nothing else left. That's where Daphne went. The cake she picked out was modest, vanilla with soft pink frosting and little candy flowers on top. $12.50. To some, that was nothing. To Daphne, it was everything. She had 13 days. Each morning before school, Daphne scoured the neighborhood for soda cans, which she traded at the corner gas station for 5 cents apiece. She collected dropped change in parking lots. She even offered to walk old Mrs. Halberd's dog, an ungrateful bulldog named Potato, for $2 a week. Her tin box slowly filled. She skipped ice cream day at school. Skipped new shoes. Skipped fun. At night, she'd open her box and count the coins again under her blanket with a flashlight. Her fingers trembled each time she got closer to her goal. Thatcher began to take notice. The girl always came alone. She never asked for discounts or begged. She didn't smile much, but there was something about the way she stared at that cake like it was a shooting star she was chasing. Once, he tried to interrupt her routine. "You sure this cake's worth all that fuss, little lady?" he asked, arms crossed. Daphne looked up, lips tight. "It's not for me. It's for my mom. She deserves something beautiful." Thatcher blinked. He hadn't heard something so honest in years. He didn't reply. Just watched her leave. 2 days before the birthday, disaster struck. Daphne had almost $10. As she crossed the park on her way home from school, she tripped on a loose brick and her tin box flew open. Coins scattered everywhere. Some rolled into drains. Others were picked up by passing kids before she could stop them. She scraped her knees bloody chasing after every cent, crying softly into her sleeves. That night, she hid under the covers, whispering to herself, "It's okay. I still have time. I still have time." But she knew she was short. Daphne entered the shop again. This time, her hands were shaking as she placed her remaining coins on the counter. They clinked one by one. $10.14, she said, her voice barely audible. "Is there any way I could still get the cake? Even just part of it?" Thatcher looked at the pile. Then at her face. Then at the cake. Without a word, he turned and disappeared into the back. Daphne stood there, heart pounding. Minutes passed. When he returned, his hands were empty. "I'm sorry," he said gruffly. "We're closed for today." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she nodded. "Okay. I understand." She picked up her coins quietly. Thatcher watched her walk out, shoulders slumped. But what Daphne didn't see was that he wasn't looking at her anymore, he was looking at a photo behind the counter. A picture of a little girl with the same eyes. His daughter, Maeve, who never made it past her 9th birthday. Carla came home that night exhausted, her hands red from soap and her back aching. When she woke the next morning, she didn't expect anything. But there on the kitchen table was a card drawn in crayon, and beside it, a small cake, vanilla with pink frosting and candy flowers. Just like the one Daphne had been dreaming of. "What? How?" Carla whispered. Daphne just smiled. A friend helped. Later that day, as Carla washed dishes, Daphne noticed something tucked under the cake box. A note. Handwritten. Some things in life should never come with a price tag. A mother's love is one of them. This one's on me. T.W. Years passed. Daphne grew up. She studied hard, earned scholarships, and eventually opened a community cafe with a pay-what-you-can shelf for single moms and kids. She named it Maeve's Table. People often asked, why that name? She'd smile and say, because once, a stranger remembered what love tastes like. The world is full of people chasing riches. But the richest hearts belong to those who remember how powerful even the smallest act of kindness can be. A little girl. A forgotten shopkeeper. A cake. 3 lives. 1 story. And it all started with coins that jingled with purpose.